Hello and welcome to iLit Lesson D 2.40. Today we will focus on syllables of shun, shun, and shun, making generalizations and then applying what you have learned. Let's get started. Today we're going to be focusing on shun words. Words like description, fashion, action, confusion, division, multiplication, fractions, section, and reaction. Let's go through and read these sentences. I would like you to underline in your mind the word that ends in shun in each sentence. There could be more than one. The article included a description of the dresses at the fashion show. If you mentally underlined description and fashion as I was reading the sentence, you would be correct. When the director yelled action, there was some confusion on the movie set. If you mentally underlined action and confusion, you're right again. We are learning about the division and multiplication of fractions in math class. If you were able to correctly mentally underline division, multiplication, and fractions, you're on a roll. This section of the newspaper received a mixed reaction from readers. If you correctly identified section and reaction in that last sentence, well done. You're ready to move on to the next part. I'm going to read the following words out loud. When we meet together this week on Thursday, I'm going to be asking you to come up with your own sentences for these words. So let's see how creative you can be and start thinking of some sentences now. Let's start. Instructional, impressionable, national, generation, abbreviation, conventional, production, fashionable, distraction, additional. All right, think about those words and crazy sentences that you could possibly come up with. Today we are also focusing on making generalizations. Now, a generalization is a very broad statement that covers many examples. Sometimes a generalization is valid or trustworthy because it uses the words some, many, or most. Others are too broad and faulty because they use words like all, never, always, or every. Here's an example. If I were to say dogs and cats never get along, that would be considered a broad generalization. By using the word always, we know that it's probably not going to be true because, believe it or not, there are some dogs and cats who can get along. So a broad generalization would not work in that case. Here is another broad generalization. All the students at this school are well behaved. Now, this is a very broad generalization because maybe not all of the students at the school are well behaved. For that reason, a better generalization would be most students at this school are well behaved. Notice that we've changed the word all to most. Valid generalizations are based on facts and logic. Let's go through and look at this chart. Notice which ones are valid and which ones are faulty. Here are some clue words. The ones in yellow: everyone, no one, all, none, always, never, are too broad or too all-encompassing. There's no leeway or give for people who feel differently. When making a generalization, think about several specific examples. Decide on what they have in common. Make a statement that tells, in general, what they have in common. Examples: all children hate school. Notice they used an ultimatum word, all. That would be too broad of a generalization. I am hoping that not all students hate school. In fact, I'm kind of hoping that you all might secretly like it. All right. For many children, going to a new school is difficult. Many is a generalization that gives room for people who disagree. so this one could be a valid generalization. Everyone loves puppies and kitties. Using everyone in this instance would make it a faulty generalization. Our last sentence, some people find young animals entertaining. Some gives some leeway, so this would or could be a valid generalization. And if you look at YouTube and some of the highest streaming things, I do believe that animals being adorable is definitely up there on the list. Sometimes readers can make valid generalizations based on information they get from a text. Please follow along as I read the 3 passages. Then we'll come up with some generalizations. Passage 1. "Ya es hora," he yelled in his broken Spanish. Those were the words I waited for 12 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week, week after week. Passage 2. Around 9 o'clock, the temperature had risen to almost 100 degrees. I was completely soaked in sweat, and my mouth felt like I had been chewing on a handkerchief. Passage 3. When we arrived home, we took a cold shower underneath a water hose. We then sat down to eat dinner around some wooden crates that served as a table. What generalization can we make about the life of migrant workers like Panchito and his family? From these 3 passages, I could probably easily say life can be very difficult for migrant workers like Panchito and his family. I would say that life can be difficult because he talks about working 12 hours a day, every day, day after day, for weeks and weeks, and how the temperature can get so hot, even at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he has all day yet to go. And then, of course, arriving home and having to take a cold shower under a water hose, and then sitting down to eat around wooden crates instead of maybe a table. If we were going to make a broader generalization about a group of migrant workers today, what would we need? Well, we would probably need some more examples or more facts. Which of these is a valid generalization? A. All boys like trumpet music. B. Panchito wants to play the trumpet. C. Some boys like trumpet music. D. My friend plays the trumpet. If you picked C, some boys like trumpet music, you are correct. In fact, today's secret word is some. Please make sure that you confirm that you've watched all of this lesson. You're almost there. Keep going. As I read this next passage, think about making as many valid generalizations as you can. Try to come up with multiple generalizations. Mr. Lima was sitting at his desk correcting papers. When I entered, he looked up at me and smiled. I felt better. I walked up to him and asked if he could help me with the new words. Gladly, he said. The rest of the month, I spent my lunch hours working on English with Mr. Lima, my best friend at school. Pause the video here so you can take a few moments to come up with some generalizations. When you're ready to start again, unpause. Here are some generalizations that I saw. See if you agree with them or if you came up with them for yourself. Teachers can make a difference to students. Many teachers are willing to work extra with students who need help. Students appreciate teachers who treat them kindly. Students are always friends with their teachers. New students always need extra help. Now, were any of those too broad or faulty to be a valid generalization? Which ones were they? I'm going to say them again, and I want you to think about which ones would be faulty. Teachers can make a difference to students. Many teachers are willing to work extra with students who need help. Students appreciate teachers who treat them kindly. Students are always friends with their teachers. New students always need extra help. If you picked out the last 2 statements as being faulty, you would be correct. When we use things like always or always, then we kind of have the hint that it's too broad of a generalization and it will be considered faulty. Thank you so much for joining me today with our work on syllables, making generalizations. Now we need to go and apply what you've learned. So in iLit, you're going to be looking for the Word Study Reader newspapers. And if you have not yet done so, make sure you have completed your narrative essay. And of course, don't forget, spend 20 to 30 minutes reading from your choice book. And yes, this counts for language arts too, so make sure to get your reading done. Have a great day.